Welcome to the Far Out. In this segment, we're going to talk about all things that one day will help India qualify for the FIFA World Cup. Because we can do it. Every episode will talk about one element that we believe that India needs to focus on if it really wants to play in the Football World Cup. Each element as important as the other. Imagine them as one of the cogs of the wheel that will take India over the line. For today's episode, we are going to cover our first element, which is manager. No surprises there as it is already given in the video title, but how important is a manager in a team? What's his role in an international capacity? Lots of questions that we'll be answering today. I am, to be honest, a very casual football fan. So when it comes to the technical stuff, I'm going to call upon a friend who might shed some light on the subject at hand. Someone who knows what he's talking about when it comes to football and doesn't need to do research as I do before making these videos. A friend for whom football is life. We got one of them today in the form of Viv. Hey Viv, welcome to the channel. Thank you for taking some time off to do this.
Hey Nice, no worries at all. It's great to join you on this channel and in this discussion.
My first question to you is, they say that a football team is as good as its manager. Do you concur?
I don't know if I agree with you with the statement that one is as good as the other. However, one can't work without the other. He or she is the anchor of the team and responsible for holding that team together, the training, the culture, the relationships of each person to each other. And without those bases covered, it's really hard or impossible to establish the style of play and the tactics that the manager requires the players to follow in order to win football matches.
Alright, with lots of free time with the ongoing pandemic, many of us saw the Manchester City documentary about Pep Guardiola, the lighter side of football with Ted Lasso. So we got an idea of the internal workings of a club, especially how a manager goes about his day-to-day job. So my question to you is, how different is a football manager's role in an international capacity?
At the international level, it's a completely different experience compared to club management. An international level manager is constantly traveling around to see his different players at their clubs, and when he gets them all together, it's like a 24-hour training camp. In some ways, it's even more intense than a club manager's role, as you have to get a lot from everyone and a lot more done in a shorter amount of time. And you have the eyes of an entire nation on your back at any one moment. You're putting players together with colleagues that sometimes they barely even know, or maybe even in a country that they've never often even been to in many cases. There are strange sleeping patterns, lots of long distance traveling, and inevitably some logistical problems along the way as well. I mean, it's a totally different experience from club management, as I said in the beginning, and keeping the relationships good between players and managers is not easy when you're spending every single minute together in a much shorter amount of time.
Alright, now on screen we have a graphic about the number of Indian team managers since 2000. We observe an average tenure between 2 to 3 years. My question to you is, what are your thoughts on longevity? Does a longer tenure of manager necessarily translate to success, and should we be patient to get results from a certain manager's philosophy on the field?
I think the debate on longevity is a little bit of a myth, in the sense that there's never one right way to find the perfect manager for a team or the perfect amount of time to give to that person to become the manager that an international association is looking for. In the club world, we don't have to look any further than the way that clubs like Chelsea handle their managers, Abramovich's hiring and firing style, versus other clubs like Manchester United or Arsenal during the Ferguson or Wenger eras. Both may work, but at the end of the day, if the fit between the management, the board, and the players is not there, then changes may need to take place. On the international front, however, time goes by much, much slower, given the spacings in between each international break. Managers just have less time to work with players. So naturally, I think that international level managers should be given a little bit more time, especially compared to club management, to prove their worth, just to allow them to implement their methods and playing styles, as well as create relationships between the players and management. in order to see if that manager is a good fit for that country. In my opinion, 2 years or even a year is more than enough time for a manager to show at least some glimpses of what we should expect.
Perfect. Thank you very much for this, Viv. I'll always come back to you to get insights in the future.
Anytime, mate. You're more than welcome, and I look forward to being back on the Far Out Goal soon. Take care. Cheers.
Again, we are just scratching the surface here. There's so much to talk about the importance of manager in football. We will definitely revisit this topic in the future too. Now we are going to move on to our next segment, in which we talk about the origin episode takeaway. We covered the origins of football in Argentina. Do check out that video over here. So what should India learn from Argentina? What was maybe one takeaway from exploring their origins? Again, what we might talk about would not be only specific to Argentina. We might observe the same fact in some other footballing nation and vice versa. But for the sake of this series of videos, we are going to consider the following as the only takeaway from Argentina. And our takeaway is, it's not a one-trick pony. Let me expand on that to make it more comprehensible. Argentina is of course obsessed with football as we are with cricket in India, but it's not the only thing they got going for them. They are pretty good at other sports too. If we talk about team sports, they have a good rugby team which invariably finds itself more often than not in the quarterfinals of the Rugby World Cup. They have got a great hockey team which is winning them Olympic medals now. Since the end of World War II, they have won on average 3 medals every Olympic Games. And I'm not talking about a bunch of Olympic medals in the last 3 Olympic Games as India did. They have consistently won 3 medals every time. 6 years ago, they won a Davis Cup, which is again a collective effort. They have had Grand Slam champions in the past too. They are good in basketball. So what we're trying to say is that they're obsessed with football, yes, and they're pretty good at playing football too. But there are other avenues too in which you can make a name for yourself in sports in Argentina, which for India, I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but cricket is not everything. Even I love cricket, it is a passion for me too. But as a country, we need to be a bit rational going forward. We will briefly give you some statistics about football in Argentina, which we didn't speak about in the origin episode. Today, Argentina, it has over 3,000 clubs spread across the country. It has 330,000 registered licensed players, slightly below 1% of its total population, which plays football in some capacity, that is amateur, semi-professional or professional. However, if we take into account the non-registered players, it is estimated that Argentina has about 2.6 million soccer players, accounting for more than 5% of the entire population. Now, if we were to have the same proportion of people playing football in India, we'll need a total of 70 million, that is 7 crores. So here is our first takeaway that goes on the board from one Football Origins episode so far. Plenty more to follow. Now we move on to the next segment, which is India's football history. For this episode, we had decided to cover the exploits of Indian football team between the period of 1947 and 1954. But there was so much to talk about during this period for Indian football that we decided to make a separate video, which you can check out over here. So that wraps this segment. Let us know in the comments below of what you thought of this episode of taking India to the World Cup. What you believe about how important a manager is for Indian football. About our takeaway from the Argentina's episode 2. We are going to talk about our football history of other nations, do some introspection along the way as a footballing nation, and most importantly, what India can do to get our time in the sun at the biggest sporting event of them all.